the best salespeople extroverts? Who makes the best salespeople? Why are they the best? Today's guest is Ashley Harwood, the founder of Over Extroverts, a private and team coaching program helping introverts understand building business relationships that matter. Better listeners are better salespeople, and introverts are better listeners. It's true. They're just better listeners than extroverts who want to dominate the room and the conversation. Most people believe you have to be an extrovert, uh, and the opposite is true. Being able to listen first before you speak as a salesperson gives your client the understanding that you're listening to them and you want to actually help. Armed with their information, it's a clearer path to success. Welcome back to Broker Talk, our weekly show about the real estate industry and business. Each week, we bring you a guest who can help you succeed in this business. I'm Larry Lawfer, your host this week, and thank you for being part of our community. Welcome aboard, Ashley. It's great to have you back.
Thank you. It's great to be back. Hi, everyone.
So tell me, what's been going on? It's really comfortable for us because we're in several different states, so we both aren't shy right at the moment.
Yeah, it's a good introvert setup to be on opposite coasts, isn't
You have your Uggs on, and I have sweatpants, so we're
it?
good.
We're good.
But you have had a lot of success over the last couple of months. I've seen there was an Inman. What was going on with you and Inman?
Yes, I was very fortunate to be asked to speak at Inman Connect in June. That was their big conference over the summer. And I was on a panel. It was kind of funny. They put me on a panel with a gentleman who's a fantastic agent, and he does a lot of door knocking. So he sells hundreds of houses a year through door knocking. So they
Wow.
put us together, and it was such an interesting conversation. I learned a lot from him. He learned a lot from me. That was just a really fun experience.
I did door knocking for a while, and it's a great way for uh, for you to be seen in the neighborhood. Almost nobody wants to answer the door. Who's this person I don't know knocking? Uh, but after a while, they get to see you. And during my time doing it, um, I always saw there was always one, two, three people that were walking their dogs. Got to talk to them. Um, that's a tough business, though.
Yeah.
That and cold calling. They're
Yeah.
just, there's no connection. Is there a connection? Can you create connection?
I think you can. I don't think that's what most people go into it with that intention. Most people who are doing those activities, not all, but in general, it's more of a numbers game mindset.
Do you think, Ashley, that it's really whether you're an extrovert and telling someone something, or you're an introvert and sharing it with them in some personal way, that it's really about creating value for the person you're talking to? And if they don't feel as though you're giving them value, whether you're an extrovert or introvert, it's not going to make a difference in the sale.
Right. Absolutely. It's creating value. It's um, letting people know that you really care and you're not just in it for the commission check. And, that doesn't always translate to one lead gen strategy or another. It's not really about that. It's just about how you are approaching business at a more meta level.
And that meta level is first listening, isn't it?
It is. And truly listening and caring about the answer.
And not answering until they've felt as though they've shared enough with you.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think the worst, and so many agencies have you learning scripts. Some wrote um, uh, dialogue that everyone in the company uses because that's what you're taught. I, I never understood that, um, because your conversations are different with all kinds of different people. Is Scripps part of Move Over Extroverts? You also do workshops too. Um,
I do. I do workshops, I do one-on-one coaching. Scripts are not a major part of my programs. There is one script that I share, and I'll share it with you and your audience. It's very simple, and it leads to a conversation, it leads to a relationship building. And the script is with someone you don't know very well. If you don't already know the answer to this question, you can ask them, what do you do for work? That's my favorite script because it opens the conversation, it lets them talk about themselves, which everyone loves. And then they'll ask you the same question, and then you're able to talk about real estate. So that's a way to start a real estate conversation without hitting the person over the head with it.
I'm here in the Northeast. I'm in the Boston area, and one of the icebreaker questions always is similar to that, but it's where did you go to school? You know,
Hmm.
it's because this is such an academic area. When they get to what do you do for a living, my answer's been the same for years. It's in my logo. I listen for a living, and saying something like that brings back, are you a psychiatrist, are you a priest, are you a prostitute? I said a little bit of all of that. uh, I'm a real estate agent, but it is a way to start into the conversation. um, there are so many people that are introverts and they're like hidden. You were talking earlier about the guy from the $1 Million Homes, Ryan Serhan.
Yeah.
He's an introvert. Who were some of the others? Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett. Um, do they just hide behind stacks of money? Those two guys. I mean, their job. They didn't have to. I guess they do have to deal with people, but um, what are some of the things that that hinder introverts in business? Is it a mindset?
No, I don't think it's a mindset. I think the only thing that really hinders introverts are, well, two things. First is there are a lot of introverts who don't realize they're introverts. And let's just define this real quick so people know what we're talking about. An introvert is very simply someone who restores their energy by being alone. So, for that reason, there are a lot of introverts, especially in the real estate world, who don't realize they're introverts, and they're expending all of their energy every day being around people doing business, and they don't know why they're exhausted every day. And it's because they're not taking that time for themselves because they don't realize that they need it, right? So that's the first challenge. The second challenge is, until my company was born and I started teaching classes, there weren't a lot of resources for people like us in this industry. There's a lot of training out there, and it's not all geared towards us. Most of it's geared towards, the traditional techniques, which are proven to work. They're just not going to work for everyone in the same way.
Exactly, exactly. I do some mantras all the time, and I know that's one of the ways to. The way the brain works is whatever you tell it. It's not a yes or no thing for a brain. If you tell your brain you're an idiot and you're dumb and all of that, your brain's going to say okay. But if you tell it other things, more positive things, it says, oh, okay. And so asking yourself better questions, and I think that's what your workshops do, and I think that's what your group does. Where can people join your group if they wanted to?
So we're on Facebook. It's called Introverts in Real Estate. It's not a very clever title, but it makes it easy to find. And
That's the SEO, right?
right, that's the SEO. And then my website is moveoverextroverts.com. So all the information is found in those two places.
Exactly, and you don't have a place for the quiet success workshops unless you're like have one planned or something. I know you had some planned before the pandemic where all of you got together.
Yeah, so the workshops come in two forms. I teach them in real estate offices. So for brokers or managers who are listening, I could bring this content to your office and teach your agents. I do that via Zoom mostly. Happy to fly out in person somewhere though, if anyone wants that. And then I also host my own workshop and invite all, individual agents to just buy a ticket and come on
Mm-hmm.
their own. And those have all been virtual too. So
Ah,
I would say just check the website. I don't know when people are listening to this, but check the website. Everything will be up there. I also have my new class on taking days off that I'm excited about next month.
well, I was going to say when you were talking about taking alone time, I've been married 33 years. People of the show probably know that because I say it. Um, but one of the things that keeps both my wife, who's an introvert as well, how we got together, I don't know. We were in opposite corners of a cold, dark room. But when we get a little too tense, one or the other of us can turn to the other and say, "You know, I like my alone time," and that's our code for please shut up and get out.
It's important to be able to say that though in a loving way
Exactly.
and have the other person understand.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's been kind of funny. Hey, we'll be back with Ashley in just a moment, right after these words.
When you are searching for a new home, you want to be working with a realtor with years of experience, a professional with intimate knowledge of the communities that you are considering moving to, and someone who really wants to represent you as a buyer in what is probably the largest investment you will ever make in your lifetime. The realtors at Castles Unlimited want to be your choice when you are ready to make your next move. Please visit us at castlesunlimited.com or call us anytime at 800-967-3561. The realtors at Castles Unlimited are here to help your next purchase, lease, or sale of any real estate the easiest decision you've ever made. Start your search anytime, 24/7 at
One. Hey, we're back with Ashley Harwood from Over Extroverts, and we were just talking about ways in which Ashley's coaching, both private and group coaching, helps introverted real estate agents understand how they can do business. So, could you give us a couple of tips that people could think about?
Yeah, absolutely. So for agents who have been in the business for a little bit of time and they have some of their lead gen strategies already in place, I would recommend doing an audit of these strategies. And this is something I take people through in my coaching program. I walk them through it and we do this activity in the workshop too. But go through, make a list of everything you're doing and then go through and rank each item, each strategy. So let's say it's cold calling because that's the easiest one to pick on. How effective is that for you? 1 through 10. Give it a rating. 0. It can be any number, just be honest. And then rate this a second time. How much do you enjoy it? So it's two passes. It's how effective is each item and how much do you enjoy each one. And
Okay.
then make some decisions. Make some
Yeah.
decisions which things to let go of, which things to increase. It's a very simple exercise, but it can be really eye-opening.
Profound. Um, I was taught many years ago a lot of people don't know what their brand is or don't know what their skills are. We have an idea of how people understand us and what we think we are. But in this strategy that was taught was um, write down three adjectives that describe me. You're asking friends, workers, clients, and just 10 people. You're just asking 10 people the three questions. What are the three top characteristics that you think? So when you get all those 10 back, then you look at it, and the ones that are mentioned the most are what you're projecting the most. And it's not always what you thought you were. And so you can adjust your strategies to put what people see you as. I always thought I was funny, and it turns out it's not true at all.
That sounds like a very eye-opening exercise.
It really was. It really was. And of course, I have a child, and he let me know I wasn't as funny as I thought I was. So I did have some indications. I just wasn't listening. Um, but I think there are strategies, and I think in business there's two kinds of things. Um, you can go out and try to be the best at everything, and that means you won't be good at some things or many things. But if you focus on what you're best at, people will recognize you for that. And you said something really interesting to me, and when we were talking before the show, that every agency needs both introverts and extroverts because out in the world there are introverts and extroverts. Isn't that like the disc profile that everybody has a slightly different personality?
Yes, absolutely. Everyone has a slightly different personality, and therefore clients are going to be more attracted to certain types of agents.
Yeah.
So, for a well-rounded brokerage, it's very important to have both. It's also important to provide tools for both introverts and extroverts. You
Right.
can't go out and recruit a bunch of introverts and not give them any support or training that's tailored to them. So, by having a lot of different types of agents around, you're able to serve a wider population of clients.
Right. Right. So, what made you want to go from you were a successful real estate agent. Maybe you're still doing it. I don't know, but I know your production. You were really good at it. And what made you decide that coaching was the better? And not only that, you moved from Massachusetts to California. So,
Right. Yeah, lots of changes in a short amount of time. So the short, quick answer is I was doing, a good amount of production in the business. I'm out of production now. And the change came when I realized that I can help more people by doing what I'm doing because nobody's doing this. Nobody's talking about this versus selling houses, which was also very fulfilling, but there are a million plus licensed realtors in the country. If I take myself out of that piece of the game, the buyers and sellers will still be very well served. Seriously, they will. I don't have to worry about them. I did the golden handoff, gave my business to somebody else. I collect referral fees, and I'm able to step into this other role now. It's been 3 years, and I'm able to just make a huge impact with the agents who, are in my world and go through my courses. And
yeah,
in turn, they're able to stay in the business. I feel like
sure.
I'm helping people not burn out and not get out of the business entirely because they don't have any support.
Yeah. You and I met many, many years ago at a program, 8-week program, 1 day a week. Um, and it was a program that taught us all a whole room. I think there were like 800 people there, all the exact same thing. And then we were given lists of people to call, and all of us were calling from that same list. It was
Yeah,
crazy. It
it
was
was
great.
crazy.
It was crazy. I went out and ate an apple.
I called my mom.
And she gave you an appointment, right?
Right. Of course she did. I always close my mom.
Yeah. Yeah. um, Another one of them, and I'm not picking on this particular program at all because I was always really energized after I was in rooms with people um, who are doing the same job, and part of that was a comparative thing. Um, do I have knowledge, and do I have skills, and do I have the ability to communicate that? That's really what real estate often is. There's so many different details. Um, but being an introvert, you just get tongue tied. You get in front of someone, and all of a sudden, the words disappear, um, the thoughts disappear. Um, has that happened to you?
More so when I was a new agent. And for me, I don't know that it was tied necessarily to being an introvert. It was more just a lack of experience and confidence, and knowing that there are 1,000 things about real estate somebody could ask me, and I know the answer to about five of them. And so I had to get comfortable in my first year, no, year or two, I had to get comfortable saying, I don't know the answer. Let me go find out and I'll get back to you. I said that all the time. That's another good script for people.
For everybody.
For everyone. There's no, and that actually makes you more professional than someone who just is going to guess at
You're
the answer and get it wrong.
right. So you're setting an appointment and you're coming back with value. That's that is sales, and
It
you
is. And then when you come back with the answer and you close that loop, that's where your integrity comes from because you said what you were going to do.
exactly in the time frame you said you were going to do it.
Right.
People respect that. When did you first know you were an introvert?
I learned this about myself about 3 years into my real estate journey. I'm about 8 years in now for context. So 5 years ago or so. And it was very enlightening, changed a lot of things for me. And I realized why I was so exhausted and anxious all the time. And I was able to make some changes in my business that made the business just explode. I
Yeah,
think year over year, it increased 4 times.
yeah, yeah. I was watching that. It's fun to watch somebody you like succeed. Um,
Thank you.
uh, but you said there's over 1 million agents, and with by losing you, they'll all be served. I got to tell you, if there's 1 million agents, only 20% of them are worth anything. Um, and I know that
Well,
that's harsh, but statistics show that half of those people don't do any production whatsoever. They're part timers. You know, average is 4 deals a year. You can't live on 4 deals a year unless they're multi-million-dollar properties. But you don't get to do those properties unless you really have skills. Um,
mhm.
at that level, those people are used to um, the best of the best. If your um, smaller deal client is upset with you, they're going to yell at you. But if you've got a multi-million-dollar deal, those people will never yell at you. You'll get a call from their lawyer, and so it's just different. Um, if you're not producing in the right manner. So it does come down to um, both technical and intellectual skills, and then the emotions to be able to deal with the constant ups and downs, because it is an emotional thing, buying and selling property. It's where you
Mhm.
live, food, shelter, clothing.
Yeah.
It's number two. So um, what do you see happening now that the country is opening up a little bit more? Um, what I believe is there's going to be fewer agents out there because if you weren't working during the pandemic, it's going to be hard to bump start it again. Um,
Yeah.
so what do you see? Do you see a reduction in agents, or or what?
Yeah. Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. There's kind of a natural ebb and flow. It's pretty cyclical. A lot of agents get licensed when they see easy sales, like a really hot market like we've had. And then that naturally, some will drop off. And I don't know, it's a very weird time. It still
Yeah.
is a very weird time. And there's going to be a lot of ramifications from the past year and a half in terms of housing and evictions and all the crazy things that Zillow is doing right now. And it's just, there's a lot of factors at play. So,
There really
as much
is.
as we like to speculate, I honestly have no idea.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does, but that usually doesn't stop people giving their opinions.
Right.
you know, um, there are concerns about the economy. There are concerns about the health of the country. There are concerns about politics, and yet the real estate industry, people are moving around. People are buying and selling houses. It's not the exact number that was before. It's down maybe 20, 25%, but still prices are up. So it is a great career for someone who understands you don't have to be an extrovert, you don't have to be a sales guy. You can be a value person. Being a
Mhm.
value person is all your clients ever want. That
Right.
and your undivided attention when they want it. And they
Right.
deserve it. They deserve it. It's a big ticket item. They should have big ticket service. Um, and that goes well beyond answering your phone. It actually means being of service to them. And that involves so much more because different people need different things. Um,
They do. They do. And that's where listening comes in and understanding what your specific client needs. Some people need a half-hour phone call to talk through one inspection item. Some people are way too busy for that and they just need a text. Yes or no, is it done?
yeah, yeah. Again, we're back to the disc profiles. You have to know who you're listening to, so you know how to talk to them. Um,
Right.
I, I say on this show often that real estate agents come from all walks of life to come into this business, and you and I both share a background. We both have degrees in English literature.
We
Um,
do.
yeah, it's clear why we don't have jobs. We had to go find something else. Um, but um, I think telling a good story is a way to get um, a better result. Um,
Mhm.
I think that happens in all of your relationships. I mean, if you don't have a good story, that partner you like is not going to like you. You know, um, and if it's not fresh and focused on the individual's needs, they're not going to love you the way you love them. Um,
Mhm.
it is all about relationships, isn't it?
It is. And, storytelling, to your point, is sort of at the core of humanity. People have been sitting around the fire telling stories for however long we've been here, centuries, whatever. And that can help in business too. People will remember a story more than they'll remember a fact
Yeah,
about how many houses sold in this neighborhood last year. Like that's just going to go out of the brain.
yeah, yeah. After my degree in literature, I went on to graduate school and studied folklore and folk life, which is the non-written traditions that people pass down orally. It To me, it's always been about stories, and that's how we learned. I mean, it wasn't until what is 13 something or other where the Gutenberg Press made the Bibles, and that's when the first book most people had back in those days.
Yeah.
Um, and um, the non written tradition is your ability, well, in literature, it's your ability to understand the story, what's really going on here through the descriptions and the words of the action. Um, it's fascinating. And you're a couple of years into this now, aren't you? Well, you said
Yeah.
208. So,
3 years. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and I've watched your group grow pretty exponentially. Um, some of my favorites are when you ask, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" I'm relaxing.
I want to encourage people that it's okay to relax. I feel like there's this not a stigma, but there's this kind of perception that realtors need to be working, working, working all the time, 24 hours a day. That's just not is that's not realistic. It's not healthy.
You have to set the parameters, and if you tell people like, "I'm not going to pick up my phone at night because I'm done by then," and I'm thinking about other things, and I don't want to pick up the phone and be in another realm in my life. And my clients know that. They know I'll get back to. I'm an early riser. Old guys are not supposed to tell people they rise early, like it's some badge of honor, but uh, it isn't. You get up and it's dark. So, um, but people want to know when you get back to them. They want to know how can I rely on you? And
Mhm.
that's just a matter of telling them and then following up with it. You know,
Right.
uh,
Setting expectations.
yeah. Well, I know that you have a coaching program that's about to start very quickly. I'm so glad that you joined us again. Um, I look forward to checking in with you often, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me back on the show.
It's been great. Join in next week, and we'll have another great show for you. Thanks for tuning in.